Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Tolan Morgan.
Hello, I'm Laneen Morgan, and welcome to the 8th episode of All Things Marriage.
On this episode 8, All Things Marriage, I'm so humbled and honored to have such an amazing couple, leaders in our community here in Middle Georgia, Pastor Tolan Morgan and Lady Laneen Morgan. How are you guys today?
Great.
Great.
How you doing,
Wonderful.
man?
I am doing wonderful.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
being here.
Absolutely.
I am humbled.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to dive right into this topic. I want to take a little twist. I know I said all things marriage, but I want to talk about the intimacy of marriage. And I have broken down intimate into different topics or subtopics, however you please. So we're going to deal with I want to start with you, Lady Morgan.
Okay.
And for I want to talk about intentionality. How do you show intentionality? Or first off, how important is intentionality in marriage?
I think it's extremely important in marriage, and it's funny that you started with the I, intentionality, because my husband is way more, honestly, intentional than I am. I am intentional, but he takes intentional to the next level. But for me, it's preparation, it's thinking about not yourself. It's a selfless act.
Right.
And so being intentional in marriage exclusively is about thinking about your spouse, what your spouse wants, what your spouse likes. And sometimes it may be out of your personal comfort zone, but if that's something that your spouse likes, then that's when you prioritize the intentionality of it, and compromising yourself, not really compromising yourself, but becoming selfless to be intentional for and with your spouse.
That's good. What would you say, Pastor Morgan?
Just the intentionality means that your spouse is the subject and the object of your intentions. They're not an afterthought.
Right.
They're not something you get around to.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
They're somebody that you plan for, you prepare for, you do things for intentionally so that they will know. I think the biggest fruit of intentionality for any spouse is that they really know they matter.
Wow.
Yes.
If you're intentional about your spouse figures out very quickly that you matter to them.
Yes.
That's good. I want to dive into the need. How important is it to make sure that the spouse or your mate, their needs are met? Not so much sexual, but physical as well, emotional. I'll start with you, Pastor Morgan.
From the very origin of marriage, when we investigate that, God gave a man and a woman in the union of marriage to meet each other's needs.
Right.
Emotionally, sexually, socially, tangibly. The only need your spouse cannot meet is your spiritual needs.
Wow.
Because your spouse is not a replacement for God. But every other need, from a research standpoint of marriage, husband and wife are in each other's lives to be their own internal welfare system. We meet each other's needs.
That's good.
Except for your spiritual needs.
Lady Morgan.
He summed everything up. Literally, like seriously, like that is when you think about marriage, and when the Bible speaks to marriage and it says that the wife will be help suitable for him, that is, we will meet the need of our spouse. And ultimately, I diddled the explanation of my husband. Like it is in every sense of the word, in every area of marriage, except spiritual. The importance of marriage is to meet that need of your spouse in every area.
And if you're not a source, you need to be a resource.
Absolutely.
Bring us into that. Help us understand, how can we be a resource?
If you can't directly meet your spouse's need, then you need to be the channel to meeting that spouse's need.
If she needs a massage,
Well, you can't do it, then you schedule for her to go
Get
get one.
Exactly.
That's resource.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't do her hair, then you give her some money to go get her hair done.
Yeah,
if you have it.
Absolutely. That's literally
If she's insecure in some kind of way, I mean, that spouse helps her out with security, but maybe you need to go sit on somebody's couch and encourage her or him to go sit on somebody's couch.
Good.
yeah. So if
And
you're
not
a
look
source, you
down
need to
on
be-
it. Don't, support it.
You need to be a resource.
That's good. As I was looking into this topic, I'm glad you mentioned about the insecurity part. I came across a quote online, and it says that we gain trust by drops, but we lose it in gallons. So how can a spouse in a relationship that may have insecurities, how can they gain or build that trust in that insecurity realm part?
That's a good question, honestly. I think you gain security from your spouse by, again, I'm going back to the top
Right.
with your intentions. When your spouse is being intentional in showing you that you matter and prioritize that, at some point, the insecure spouse is going to see the efforts of the spouse, and it helps to build that security within oneself, because it's an individual effort as well, but that spouse helps by showing that spouse that, you know what, babe, I love you, you matter, and not only just say it, but show it through actions,
Right.
continuously, and being intentional with it.
That's good, Pastor.
I think people talk about trust without first understanding it. We got a lot of trust quotes, but they don't understand trust. First of all, trust isn't final. Trust is always a process in progress. It requires time where you become reliable. You become trustworthy over time. That's the first thing. So
It's not instant.
that's correct.
It's earned.
Correct. And secondly, about trust, this is critical. Most people don't want to swallow this pill. But even if a person does everything to prove themselves trustworthy, trust is a choice.
That's right. That's right.
Trust is not always you in a constant state of having to prove yourself to your spouse. At some point, you have to make the choice to trust.
That's good.
Right.
So with the combination of time and choice, trust now comes into play, and it's trust should grow and evolve with the relationship. That's why I say it's not final. It's always a process, in progress. And if that trust has somehow been compromised, violated, then guess what? We got to start back over the rebuilding process. And guess what? At some point, you still got to make that choice again, even after that trust has been compromised. So those two areas of trust aren't just on the person to whom the trust is targeted. It's on the person to whom the trust originates.
Wow.
It's a partnership there. It's a give and take. It's a role on both persons in the area of trust. For one person, it takes time. For the other person, it's a matter of choice. Wow.
And then too, when you talk about trust, there's different components of trust because you got different areas of trust. You have trust with finances. You have trust with my heart. You got trust with,
That's right.
The relationship of trust. So there's different levels of trust or different areas of trust that you have to consider as well. Because I may trust you on one end and I don't trust you on the other.
Right.
So
That's right.
you
That's
have different
That's real
areas of
talk.
trust in the marriage as well. So you have to identify that person may be trustworthy in some areas, but may not be trustworthy. And again, as he stated, it's a choice.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm. And time.
Were there any times in the marriage where you guys worked on trust? I know you said there were many areas. Can you bring us into that to help anybody watching on that?
Absolutely. For us, I think that there's always a level of hesitation when it comes to trust, right?
Right.
In every area, because the two shall become one flesh. So when you talk about two becoming one flesh, you're talking about, it's just like diversity. When we look at the diversity realm of things, it's not just about race. It's about upbringing. It's about history. It's about education. It's about our livelihood. It's about our surroundings. So you're talking about two people considering all of those contributors becoming one person. And so naturally there's going to be some reservation around trust. But the one thing that for me personally, I think that you focus on making sure God is the central part of your union, and prayer. And everybody says prayer, but prayer does change things, and prayer does work. And be a person of faith, because what is faith? Faith is the evidence of things, and the evidence of things not seen. So when you walk by faith, you may not always have, hey, I trust this person, but I believe God will work on me and work on them to build that.
In a more practical sense, more often than not, I'm not going to say always, but more often than not, people who are not alike get married to each other.
That's right.
So their personality differences, their habits, their views of life, their views of money, their views of time, their views of space are opposite ends of the spectrum. More often than not, one person is frugal, the other one is a spender. One person is, a daytime person, the other one is a nighttime person. One person prefers this, the other one prefers that. Those are areas where
That's right.
trust finds practice.
That's right. Ongoing.
Here's the myth of marriage. The myth of marriage is that when you get married, it changes you. That's a myth.
Period. Point blank.
If we think about it,
Yep.
I didn't fall in love with who you gonna be.
Wow.
I fell in love with who you are. I want to stay the rest of my life with who you are. Wow. So that means if you never change, I want who you are.
Right. Wow. That's good.
And by the time we get married, I have figured out all or most of who you are, and I'll take it, good, bad, or indifferent. Right. So that begins the journey of this constant evolution of trust in a relationship. I don't think we view trust correctly. We view trust as a finality. Trust is not final. Trust is continuous. Trust is ongoing. You don't see life the way I see life. You don't do things the way I do things. We had something as simple as the garbage can. She liked for the garbage can to be hidden. I like for the garbage can to be out.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that don't matter to, I ain't gonna say it don't matter to her, but it's not a pressing issue for her because she don't have to take the garbage out all the time. I do. So I had to make all these trips while you trying to hide garbage can and be beauty.
Wow.
So that's just
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
those differences.
That's right.
Everybody has to work out every day, and those become the areas of practice for trust. We often think about trust from the extreme area. Wow. No, that's trust starts here with the little stuff. How do I be me and be yours at the same time?
That's right.
That's what every marriage has to work through every day. The
I think
Bible,
that's the challenge.
the Bible never said two or one.
That's right. They become.
The Bible said they shall be one. Not they are one.
That's right.
They shall be. So this oneness is a process in progress. It's not it's not instant.
Right.
And as a result, you start to work through your variances, and that's where trust starts to find its practice.
That's good. That's good. I want to ask this question. How did you know Lady Morgan was the one?
I'm so glad you asked that
Oh,
question.
my lamb.
I'm so glad you
Oh,
asked
my
that
lamb.
question. I get asked this question so regularly, and it's a very simple answer. It's a very simple answer.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to give you scripture, which is going to explain it. So God put Adam to sleep, took a rib from him, formed the female body around that rib, makes this woman, wakes up Adam. He looks at her and says, that's bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh. She shall have my name. Woe man. So let's ask Adam that question. Hey, Adam, how did you know that was her? Listen at his answer. That's bone of my flesh, bone of my bone. Adam's answer is, I knew it was her because when I saw her, I saw me.
Wow.
That's bone of my bones.
Wow.
That's flesh of my flesh. Yeah. When I saw her,
yeah,
I saw me. He didn't have to pray about it. He didn't have to fast about it. He didn't need counseling. He didn't need any of that. He looked at her
wow,
and said, that's me. Every man makes that same decision, to answer your question,
yes, sir.
because the decision is spiritual.
Wow.
When a man sees a woman, he instantly knows that's her, because it's not a mathematical answer. That is a spiritual moment in the life of every man. People wonder, how did you know? It's a spiritual issue.
Yeah.
It's a spiritual issue. You ask any man, even if he didn't acknowledge it immediately, even if he didn't get married to her immediately, he knew in his spirit, that's her right there. Because that decision is spiritual. And we don't want to, we don't like to put that word to it, because we want to put some other erotic answer or some other psychological answer.
You're right. You're right.
To literally look at a person and say,
Yeah.
that's my wife for the rest of my life. That's a spiritual moment in the life of any man. Because he's looking at her and says, that's me. That's the answer. I saw her and said, that's her. That's me right there. And every man has that
Yeah.
moment. They just don't know how to say it
Wow.
because it's spiritual. The exact way it happened for Adam is how it happens for every man.
Wow.
It's instant. It's in that moment. That's it.
Lady Morgan, how did you know Pastor was the one? Did you look at him too? That was
Nah,
me.
She didn't know.
I got a different answer.
She didn't know. I knew she didn't know. Yeah, she didn't know.
It's a God thing. It really is. And I'm not trying to be super spiritual because I am not. I don't walk around with an S on my chest to be a super saint. But marriage is spiritual, as he forestated. However, though, when I first saw him, that was not my choice. And I'm being fully transparent. And if he will be honest, I was not his first choice.
That's right.
Okay, so it just it's because it was a God thing, and he actually joined us together. I was not what he wanted, and he was not what I wanted. But as time went by, and it wasn't a lot of time, just like a man knows, it's like he knew.
When he knows, he knows.
When he knows, he knows. And for me, he was everything that I prayed for, because I did pray, because I had been married before. And after that marriage was not successful, I prayed. I knew I was very specific in my prayer and what I wanted. And he came into my life, and he was everything that I prayed for, except I did not ask for a preacher. Is this the camera I need to be looking at? I did not ask for a preacher. I asked for a God-fearing man. That's what I prayed for. Even down to bow legs. And he's bow-legged. I'm going to say it. Okay? All right. And
You asked the Lord to give you a bow-legged man.
I did. I wanted him to
Ain't he
have bow
all right?
legs.
Ain't
I
he
said,
all right?
won't he do it?
Won't he do it?
You got to let him. So... So I was very specific in my prayer, and he gave me what I asked for. He gave me what I needed, not just what I wanted,
Absolutely.
but what I needed.
Absolutely.
Good.
So
That's good. What do you like about Pastor Morgan? This is dealing with the next part, which is interest. What do you like about Pastor Morgan? How he shows interest in you, even in the beginning stages up until all these years of marriage?
Oh, that is a great question, because he has so many great qualities about himself. But I'm going to go back to intentionality. My husband is so intentional when it comes to me. And that's one of the things of many that I love, how he plans, how he's proactive, how he prioritizes me, how I matter, and how he allows me to be me. He never put me in a box from the very beginning. Being a PK, he is, I'm not, but he didn't have expectations of what I ought to be and how I ought to look. And when the Lord blessed him to be a pastor, we were married. And though he was raised in a church where it was very traditional, that is not what he expected of me. He allowed me to be, I'm outgoing. I'm very sociable person. I'm interactive. I'm loud. I'm not loud, like loud.
I had to clear my throat. That's all right.
But I like to have fun. I'm a free spirit. I enjoy life, and he never put me in this box, and I appreciate that. And to this day, 27 years later, he allows me to be Laneen first, and that's everything for me.
I love that. How about you, Pastor?
My interest in her.
Or what does she do that kept the interest from the beginning even to now? all these years foundation in the marriage?
One is
That's a great question.
she is very consistent in her attraction to me. One.
Oh no.
Two, I love her strength.
Yes.
I don't think I know that I had to be married to a strong woman for a number of reasons. For social reasons, for ministry reasons, for all of that. So her strength in just her womanhood and her strength in standing with me was and still is a point of interest for me as relates to my attraction to her. She's a beautiful woman, but there's more to her than just her beauty. It's really her. It's really her strength. And the third thing is she can cook.
Come on now.
Amen. Praise the Lord.
Oh,
What's your favorite top 2 dishes?
All of them.
Good answer.
All of them.
I'm surprised you didn't say salmon.
All of them.
Oh,
Yeah. Salmon's number one, but
Okay.
I'll
All
take
right.
anything she cooked. Great cook. Great
I
cook.
love
thank
it.
you, honey.
Yeah.
I
Thank you.
love it. There's 2 more because I want to be mindful of time. Managing emotions. How important is it for spouses to manage their emotions? I love how you touched on it and said how 2 different people becoming one, 2 different upbringings. What is the importance of that, and how did you guys maneuver to manage emotions with the successful part of your marriage?
I think managing emotions becomes easier when you don't allow your marriage to become an afterthought. I think managing emotions has everything to do with how you prioritize your marriage.
Right.
You don't have to worry about managing emotions if you manage marriage.
Right.
Wow.
When you don't manage marriage, now you really make space for loose emotions. But when you
Appropriate
manage marriage, managing emotions does not become an issue. And if it does, then there's another problem.
Wow.
There's another problem there. And that problem may not be inside the marriage, it may be outside the marriage. But managing emotions has everything to do with managing marriage. If I'm managing my marriage correctly, I shouldn't have to be your psychiatrist.
Wow.
We should be able to explore and experience each other's emotions to each other's benefit and not, having to walk on eggshells and are you okay today? Did I offend you? You all right? Did I say the wrong thing? Or just walking in a spirit of offense, a spirit of taking everything out of context, always interpreting something to be what it is not. Those things are the byproduct of a mismanaged marriage.
Wow.
They're not the sentiments of a properly managed marriage.
That's good. Lady Morgan?
So, in addition to what he said, I wanted to add that to managing emotions, though we're talking about marriage, it is still yet individual because you have to be aware of what you're feeling and how you're feeling. And sometimes your emotions will try to get the best of you in the marriage, but you have to introspectively manage yourself.
That's good.
right?
good.
In your emotion, because when you are managing your marriage, you still have to know how to handle yourself,
That's true.
right? How it's going to impact your spouse. So marriage is also you have to not allow yourself. I'm looking for a word and I can't find the word that I'm looking for, but basically you have to be sacrificial.
That's right.
And I think
Right.
the resolution is, again, going back to this: how do I be me and be yours
At the same time.
at the same time?
Right. So you really have to, and I
Yeah.
think that's
Good.
one of the
That's
I
good.
think for both my husband and I think that, and honestly, and this is not me bragging or anything, I think we have successfully balanced that concept where we know each other so well. We know when to pull back. We know how far we can go. We know, and again, that's managing the emotions. I think that was a great question because it has me pondering, like, and I think that for us, we've successfully have been able to identify within ourselves how to control ourselves, and at the same time, still, if we trying to get a point across, or if we trying to, we have an emotion, we know how far to take that emotion
That's good.
and know when to scale it back.
You ask a question that is actually subconscious in most marriages. If they make it conscious, they won't have to make it subconscious. If I'm conscious about my own emotions,
Right.
my own
Individual.
sense of self,
Right.
and if I'm conscious about, you know what, we're becoming one, but within that oneness, there's still a me. If we most of the time, that is a subconscious presumption in marriage. We need to transfer that to the conscious, so that we can be cognizant of there is a way to find balance between the two. And I think every marriage, every day has to work that out.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's subjective.
Right.
It's subjective. It's not. You, one of the biggest problems in marriage is communication, right?
Right.
So here's a very common issue in marriage. We change and we assume that our spouse is supposed to figure out that we've changed without telling them.
Wow.
When we got married, your favorite color was red. And I saw you wearing 3 weeks of blue, and I'm supposed to presume that blue is not your favorite color. Instead of you just telling me, hey, babe, red ain't my color no more, blue is my color.
Yeah.
Right.
We change and we expect for our spouse to figure out that we've changed without telling them.
Right.
And if they figure it out, then they're a good spouse.
Wow.
They paying attention to us. Why are you testing me? Why don't you just talk to me?
Wow. Say that again. Say it again.
Why don't you just
Yeah.
why don't you just tell me red ain't your color no more?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even need to know why.
Right.
Because we change. And that's a part of what? Our individuality.
Individuality.
What
That's
matters
right.
to you
That's right.
at 25 don't matter at 30.
That's
What
right.
matters to you at 30
Right.
doesn't matter at 35.
Right.
Right.
We change.
Right.
And we expect for our spouse to figure it out without just saying,
Without communicating. Right.
don't test me, just talk to
Right.
me. So within the context of marriage, if I'm changing, that's my individuality.
Right.
And as we age, we change. My wife told me today, you getting old. Let me tell you why she said I'm getting old. She said, you're becoming more of a homebody. And I am.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right. He was the one that was always on the go, and I was the homebody. And
She's
now,
been a homebody from day one.
yeah, since day one, I can stay. At
I'm
home
always on the move, right?
But now,
I'm 50.
Wow.
I
be
want to be in the
running,
crib. Yeah. I'm tired of, I ain't going to say I'm tired, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
a busy life
Right.
After a while, you want to go home.
Yeah,
You want to go to a happy home, by the way.
that's right. That's right.
So yes, as we age, we change, and that's a part of our individuality. And we don't have to test each other to see if we're paying attention. Just tell me, yeah, I don't wear open toe shoes no more. I wear closed toe shoes. I used to do 6 inches. I don't do 6 inches heels no more. Or I do whatever. Just tell me.
That's right.
Just tell me. I'm not gonna be offended. You're gonna be offended if I don't figure it out.
Right.
Right.
Versus you just telling me. Right. So that becomes part of the managing of emotions, part of the resolve of the individuality within our unity. And you're not robbed. You're not lost in your own marriage.
That's good.
That's right.
That's good.
You're not lost in your own marriage.
That's good.
If you talk to each other, if you give space to be the individual, guess what? You're gonna get that respect back. So that's important.
I hear a lot of couples, and you hit on something, babe, about how they lost themselves in a marriage.
Yeah,
You know, because but they didn't have any individuality.
Right. That's what they're really saying.
You have to find balance. That's why I said you have to have balance when we're talking about emotions, right? We're going back to that. You still have to have some level of individuality to identify you in a marriage,
Yeah.
right? So we didn't mean
And there's no mathematical rule to that.
yeah, it's not.
It's
It's
something
just a balance.
two people got to work out and work through
Yeah.
subjectively every day of their lives.
It's a work in progress. My husband and I, we are not perfect people, and nor do we have a perfect marriage. That is non-existent.
Right.
And I think that is a concept a lot of people need to understand too, because some people are looking for the perfect woman, somebody's looking for the perfect man. Don't exist.
Right.
That's right.
Don't exist. That's unrealistic.
Right.
We all have opportunities. And again, we have to identify the strengths of our spouse and support those strengths. And where they have opportunities, we help to build them up in those areas and complement each other.
That's good. That's good. You guys really touched on the my last two, but I want to end on this note. What does Tolan?
Come on
'cause
now.
it's Tolan to you.
Toland.
What does Tolan?
Toland Jamie Morgan Sr. Yeah, not Reb, not Pastor. Toland Jamie Morgan Sr. Yes.
What does Tolan do that is an ick, something you can't stand? Just one.
Hacking. He hacks.
Do it. Let us hear.
That is a pet peeve of mine, and he doesn't do it as much as he used to. No, I had him go to an ENT because he would be out in public just and nothing was coming up.
Oh my.
Just what is you? It's something in your throat. It's something in your throat. Oh, he already knew what I was about to say. He is good for hacking out in public. People be looking around. I get so embarrassed. Okay, I'm not gonna carry on. Y'all get the picture. I'm gonna stop hacking on this microphone.
Bless you. Bless you on today.
Pastor, what does Laneen?
She's not as proactive of a planner as I would like for her to be. Pray about that.
That's because he is so methodical. He is so like matter of fact. He thinking about next week.
Didn't ask for your justification. I didn't say that while you was talking about my hacking. But that's a part of the variance. I'm proactive.
Is
Because I have to plan for thousands of people. So I plan for my wife, I plan for my children, I plan for our church. So my life cannot be spontaneous.
Right.
It cannot be knee-jerk reaction,
And I'm
or
way
late,
spontaneous.
and she's the
I'm
exact opposite.
And
Well-
to your point, it's so funny because we're flying out next week going to an event, right? We're flying out together to go to an event. So he has to preach somewhere in Eufaula, Alabama, right? So he was saying, our flight leave at this time on Saturday. And so are you driving to the airport? Or are you going to get a driver to go to the airport? I don't know. I ain't thought of next week yet. That's a week from today that we fly out. So I haven't thought about it yet.
Right.
So he took this deep breath because he already know I ain't thought about it. So he's trying to get me to be proactive, right? I ain't thought about it. But I took care of it today. I'm good. I got my driver, baby.
Praise Jesus.
You welcome.
Praise Jesus.
Jeez.
Amen.
Okay. So now you got our pet peeves.
I'm glad you did that, because it's possible he might not have been available at the
All right,
last
we're
minute.
not going to talk about that on this podcast.
all right.
I love it. I can go on and on and on with you guys.
I mean, jeez.
This has been an amazing episode 8 of All Things Marriage, specifically intimate parts of the marriage. I hope you've been blessed by this podcast from Pastor Morgan and Lady Morgan. Fellowship Bible Baptist Church. If you have not gone, please go. Everybody needs to stop by the ship.
At least one time. On your way to
On your way to heaven.
wherever
it.
you go.
That's
On
it.
your way wherever you go.
Here now. Wherever you going.
Wherever you
you
going.
headed.
On your way wherever you go.
I want you to like, I want you to share, I want you to subscribe. Until next time, God bless.